Hmm. Citizens of the Nigeverse. It's Nigel here once again. And this, ladies and gentlemen, this video in particular, this review in particular, has had quite the saga to it. So, let's get right into it, shall we? Don't worry, it's just water. But a couple years ago, back in 2023, let's take it back. It's time for story time with Nigel Dixie. All right. So a couple of years ago, back in 2023, I decided I would switch up the content of my channel a little bit. There was something new I wanted to try, and that is when I came up with Awful Month. A month where I look at bad movies, bad video games, bad wrestling matches, just all around bad stuff. And and one of the video games I wanted to review was this game. Uh, I wanted to review this game all the way back in 2023, but something happened. I couldn't beat it. I couldn't beat it in time. So 2023's awful month came and went. Then we moved on to next year, and next year, same thing. I tried to beat this game, couldn't do it. So 2024's awful month came and went, and admittedly, me getting a new job definitely kind of messed with the flow of awful month a little bit. So I was essentially back to square one, and I made a promise to myself that this year would be the year. No matter what I had to do, no matter what hurdles or hoops, and I'm actually not going to drink the same water because now I realize it's sparkling water, and I hate sparkling water. I thought it was the still one, but it is not. Uh, but I decided, you know what? No matter the hoops and hurdles and whatever it is I have to go through, no matter what I have to put myself through, this year I was beating this game. And lo and behold, I did. I actually ended up beating this game this past Saturday night. If anything, we're off by a couple weeks. We're off with a lot of these reviews, but I'm gonna still try to push these out. But I'll be honest, even if I don't do any more awful month content this month, whether in the next couple days, because I'm gonna try to have these out within the next couple days. Whether my computer stops working or whether YouTube, which I doubt is gonna happen, especially because it's just celebrated its official 20th birthday. If YouTube decides, you know what, 20 years, we decide we're deleting everything, and YouTube will be no more. Even if crazy circumstance like that happen, even if like my internet goes off permanently and I'm not able to upload anymore, I'll be satisfied with at least having gotten this game over and done with and reviewed. So, without further ado, 2 years in the making, it's finally time to review Sonic '06. Excuse me. Now, I did want to review Sonic and the Secret Rings, but when it comes to video games, I've kind of had enough bad for 1 month. I might sneak in one more awful video game review. I know exactly which one I'm gonna do, so hopefully that'll come in the next couple days as well. But and that one will be kind of a mini review of sorts. Um, but yeah, so for now, Sonic and the Secret Rings we will leave to next year because it's kind of a second half to the story in a way, and I'll explain why. But uh, but yeah, it's finally time to review and dig in to Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, Sonic '06, aka Sonic Hicks attempt and or Sega's attempt to, in a way, reboot the Sonic series, take it in a new direction, and it went horribly horribly. It's a game that's infamous, notorious among video game players, whether you're a fan of the Sonic series or not. You've more than likely heard of this game. Even if you don't really play video games or just watch like video game content, you've probably seen this game come up. It's made it into a lot of people's lists of worst video games. Oh, top 10 worst video games of all time, top 10 most rushed video games of all time, and this game was very much rushed. But it's made it into all kinds of talks and discussions. It's probably one of the ultimate bad video games, and it's finally time that we talk about it. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And it's I guess finally time to really get into this. Now, of course, as you all know by now, it's been my catchphrase. I am not professional. Not professional video game reviewer, video game analyst, or anything like that. Just a man who enjoys a good time. And that was not had here at all. This, if you couldn't tell by my little opening spiel, this was quite the chore to get through these past couple years, trying and failing repeatedly until this year to play and beat this game. But we finally did, and I'm glad we finally did, but it was a struggle to play this game. This game absolutely is terrible. There's no two ways about it. Probably the worst game I've ever played, and I'll be completely honest. It's at one point I thought it was for a while the worst game I ever played was called Battle Rage Mech Combat on the Wii. But that game might as well be might as well be Super Mario 64 compared to this game, and a game that has seemingly had very long-term consequences as well. Oh, but we'll get to that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Now, if you've seen these reviews of mine before, you can already know this works. But if you haven't, I'm going to be talking about what I liked and disliked about the game, because often I'm going to switch those around. So, starting with what I disliked and then what I liked, as well as give a plot summary in case you care. So, this is kind of how Wikipedia summarizes it. Uh, so I'll kind of go along with that only because it kind of keeps things concise in a way. But the thing about this game is the story is essentially told through four different stories in a way, three main ones and then a final story. So you have the perspectives of Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow the Hedgehog, and Silver the Hedgehog. And that so all three of them have their own kind of story mode, and then there's a final story which is kind of all three. He When it comes to that. So we'll kind of go through we'll kind of go through the story here and talk about it. So it starts off with it showing the festival within the kingdom of Soliana. We see Princess Elise and we see Sonic doing his thing, and and Dr. Eggman shows up, kidnaps Princess Elise. He's to harness the flames of disaster, which is a destructive power sealed inside her. So, in a way, I want to make a Phoenix Force joke, but there's no way in hell I disrespect the Phoenix Force by associating it anywhere near this game. And also, I gotta be honest. The graphics we're going to talk about we're going to talk about it more, and it's definitely in the dislikes, just to give kind of a spoiler. But I'd be hard pressed to mention that Eggman looks absolutely butt ugly in this game. So that's kind of the first criticism right out of the way. Hey, Eggman looks he looks weird as hell in this game. Now, it it kind of makes sense, and this is around this is a reboot, so oh uh things I guess are supposed to look more realistic. The game as a whole is supposed to have kind of a darker tone to it. They kind of tested the waters a couple years beforehand. They had the Shadow the Hedgehog video game, of course, that one on pretty much earning Shadow the title of being super edgy, especially with him looking for that damn fourth Chaos Emerald. But yeah, I think on paper it looked better than in execution, and because here Eggman looks absolutely atrocious. But nevertheless, Princess Leia is kidnapped. Uh, uh, Sonic goes to try to save her, or he technically does at one point, but she just gets kidnapped right all over again. So kind of in a Princess Peach kind of way. And of course Knuckles and Tails are there because of course they are. Or we also see Shadow who show up with Rouge, who they also run into Omega. And their plot line is that, and kind of like three kind of different plot lines, but they kind of converge onto one another, as I kind of mentioned at the top of this review. But Shadow, who accidentally unleashes an evil creature known as Mephiles, who looks pretty much exactly like Shadow. I wonder if that was a last minute thing because how rushed this game is. Oh, we'll get to that. But I do wonder if it was last minute, if that was the plan all along. Judging from the story, you could surmise that it was probably the plan all along, and I'll explain. But yeah, so Mephiles, his his has kind of makes it seem like he's working with Shadow, that he, tries to convince him to try to trust them, and sends them to a post-apocalyptic, damaged future, heavily damaged future, ravaged by a demonic monster known as Apocalypse. I mean Iblis. It's got too confused there, but now for real, this is when we do meet Silver and Blaze, and this is where their stories kind of kick off. So we see how all three stories kind of kick off. I told you the wiki was a little confusing when it came to making the story concise. But Mephiles runs into Silver and tried to, and tricks them into thinking that Sonic is the Iblis trigger, the one who awakens Iblis and causes destruction to Silver's world. Also, hey Blaze, nice to see you. Who who I haven't seen you since the Sonic Rush games, which I actually, fun fact, did not play, so I'm not qualified to make those types of jokes. Oh, so actually, I think she was Sonic. Was she Sonic Advance? Or actually, I think she might have been both. I think she was both Sonic Advance and Sonic Rush. But I can look it up. But they're convinced that Sonic is the Iblis trigger. So Silver goes to the past, which is our present day, I guess, to search for Sonic and essentially stop him. And so Oh wow! A whole bunch of time travel. It's so much time travel it would make Avengers Endgame blush, or probably look in disgust because of this game. But Sonic. So we see all three characters and kind of their effort. Or it's Shadow is trying to, I guess, follow the advice of Mephiles, and then later on try to stop him. Silver's trying to destroy the Iblis trigger, that being Sonic, and Sonic and friends are trying to save Elise. But Silver does show up. He does attack Sonic. We'll get to that as well. But he attacks Sonic, thinking he's the Iblis trigger. Silver had met Amy prior to this point, but Amy was trying to help Silver find who he was looking for and didn't know it was Sonic. But once Silver tries to destroy Sonic, that's when Amy steps in and Amy, even after, and this line is it's something. Now, Amy's kind of character, if you're unfamiliar with Sonic lore, is that she's very much obsessed with Sonic. Very much a one-sided romantic relationship with Sonic. It's a trope we've seen plenty of times before. But she straight up says that no way Sonic is the Iblis trigger. If she had to choose and even if he is, if she had to choose between the world and Sonic, she would choose Sonic. Priorities, Amy. Yeah, glad to see your priorities are in order, but nevertheless, as Shadow shows up, tells Silver that Mephiles tricked him, and that Mephiles is the real Iblis trigger, and is not Sonic. So Silver her Silver realizes the error of his ways. Is they even travel into the past. They see that Mephiles is trying to bond with Iblis, who was within Elise. So in a way, Elise is the Iblis trigger, or in a weird roundabout way. The way this game goes about it is kind of confusing. I'm not gonna lie, and maybe it's partially because I'm admittedly not the sharpest tool in the shed, but it's a very weird roundabout way that they try to go about it. But pretty much, once Iblis mixes with Mephiles, they pretty much form Solaris, and Solaris is can be corrupted. It's so pretty much a no. Gotta keep them apart, but pretty much the way Elise would unleash Iblis is by having her cry, which Mephiles does end up doing by straight up murdering Sonic. So Sonic is killed. Elise cries, Iblis and Mephiles arms, and Solaris is born, or Solaris is formed, I should say. A and tries to consume the power of time itself, tries to consume time itself. So after that Sonic's friends try to gather the Chaos Emeralds in order to revive Sonic, like, while also battling the flow of time. Eventually they collect the Chaos Emeralds. Sonic is revived with a kiss from Elise, the part I'm sure you were all waiting for, or good old fashioned bestiality, a bold new direction for your brand new rebooted Sonic universe, or Sega. Great job, guys. But Sonic is revived. Sonic, Silver, and Shadow all go their super forms, and they're able to defeat Solar. Is his and they revert Solaris to its true forms, but because they had to seal Solaris back and revert it to its original form, that means that, they forgot all the events of this game, meaning this whole adventure was for nothing. Great, but then the festival proceeds as normal. Well, no threat. But Sonic and Elise, Princess Elise, which she is a princess, but I've just been calling her Elise this whole time, so I'll continue to do so. Even though they've forgotten their memory, they show faint signs of remembering each other. So, cool, they lost their memory, but they didn't really lose their memory. That's wonderful. Okay, hey, now that's out of the way. Now it's finally time to do what I've wanted to do and rip this game to shreds. It's what's wrong with this game? For starters, where do I even start when it comes to this game? Now, it's worth mentioning, I had the PS3 version. Apparently, the PS3 version is the worst version of this game. So, just my luck, I got the worst version of one of the worst games. So, maybe that added to my experience, but uh, but yeah. So I got worst version of the worst game, meaning I was in for a very bad time, and it was just that. Like I said, where do I start now? Admittedly, what do I even say about this game that hasn't already been said by several other reviewers? There's the infamous things such as the constant glitch. There are so many times I lost count of how many times I died due to some very weird glitch, especially in Sonic's part of the game. When I was playing through Sonic's story, there was a lot of glitches. His Shadow and Silver had them, but not as much. But especially Sonic's part arts. There is the very poor graphics. It's the graphics here look very dated and very ugly indeed. The load times, very long load times, and it's one thing to have very long load times. It's another thing to place these load screens damn near everywhere in the game. And, what if you talk to an NPC? Load screen. If you're booting up if you're booting up a mission within kind of the hub world's load screen, after you do the mission, load screen, you talk to the NPC again who had you do the quest, load screen, and you go into a level, load screen, you go to another part of the level, load screen. And for the load screens to be so frequent, why on earth are they so long? My goodness, like I probably spent a long time just sitting there loading. I think it was Try Five when he did his like everything wrong with series when he did it on Sonic 06, which shout out to his video. Definitely check him out. Somebody I definitely grew up watching. Makes fantastic videos. Definitely check out Try Five if you get a chance. But he calculated. I think he calculated like over an hour, if I'm not mistaken. I gotta go back and see how long he calculated he was sitting there just in load times. I remember it was either about an hour or close to an hour. Now that might not sound like a lot, because like an hour you can sit there for an hour, or like an hour. That's just 1/8 of a workday. Oh, that's 1/8 of a workday, and that's 1/8 of a workday. You're sitting there just watching a screen, just loading in between each mission. And think about also when you fail a mission, because a lot of missions and you fail due to some BS, as you're gonna be sitting there quite a bit, just staring at the screen, waiting for it to load. Oh my goodness, you are gonna be waiting there quite a bit. Excuse me. There's that. The gameplay. There's a lot of gameplay mechanics that I really could not stand. And I think, and what sucks is that all three characters, in their stories, and within their stories, there are other characters you can play as well. Like for Sonic story, you can also play as Tails and Knuckles. For her Shadow story, you can play as him, Rouge, and E123 Omega, and for Silver Story you play as him, Blaze, who sacrifices herself of within the game as well. So she has kind of her sacrifice moment. Two sacrifices in one game, but it's Silver, Blaze, and Amy. But yeah, hell, I feel like almost every character had something about them. Some more than others that was really weird and really annoying. For Sonic, he plays similar to kind of other Sonics in other games. You can tell they reworked. They didn't have the Unleashed engine just yet with like the boost and the dash and everything. This play a little bit closer to like Sonic Adventure Sonic, which we'll get to that as well. But then Sonic had its Mach speed sections where there no slowdown, no break. If you hit something, you lose rings. And if you accidentally go in the wrong way, it's a game over. It's an endless runner, and it's not fun. I feel like now in the day and age where a lot of endless runners are on apps, like you have like Temple Run or Subway Surfers, or even Sonic Dash, ironically enough. I feel like it's kind of more commonplace, so I'm used to it in a way. But in this game, it was really annoying and really frustrating, and especially the one in Kingdom Valley almost broke me. And speaking of which, actually, I'll get to the other characters first before I get to the levels. Tails. He's able to fly around as normal with like the tails. He eventually gets tired, so nothing new there. He has weird decoy ring bombs, which in practicality is really strange, because why decoy rings? Why not just give him bombs to throw? Oh, that's what they did with Rouge, but if anything, the decoy rings just confuse you, because as then you think they're regular rings. Who is that supposed to confuse? And then Knuckles plays similar to how he does in the adventure games, where he flies around. You kind of look for objectives and stuff like that. And you're not quite looking for Chaos Emerald pieces this time around, but Yeah, so he's able to go all around the map, and it looks so awkward. When it comes to Knuckles, for Shadow, Shadow, he does not have his gun this time around. I'm so sorry to all the Shadow the Hedgehog video game fans out there. But he does have gameplay similar to Sonic. He has the Chaos Control. Well, he also has vehicles, which cool, except those segments kind of suck as well. Rouge plays kind of like a combination of Tails and Knuckles. She flies all around as Knuckles because she's also a treasure hunter, but she does have the aforementioned bombs. And then E123 Omega, he's able to hover, he's able to shoot. Dude, it looks so awkward. All the character movements when they do their movements, they use their powers and everything. It looks so weird and so awkward. Silver, he's able to hover. He has as kind of the they call it psychokinesis. It's pretty much like telekinesis. He's able to when enemies shoot like the big bullets that travel slowly towards you, not like the rapid fire ones that just hit you automatically, but if it's like the slow balls, like the big one hunts, he's able to suspend them in the air and toss them at different things, use them to solve different puzzles. He has the ball. He has the ball puzzle, which is really weird and not fun, where you travel on a ball and you can't get hit by the lasers. So. Geez, that's not fun. And then Blaze. Blaze honestly is probably the character that was the least frustrating character to play as, which is not saying much. She has double jump. She's able to attack and everything. She doesn't have this like kinesis like Silver has, um, but yeah, out of all the characters, she sucks the least to play as. And then Amy, she has her hammer. She has an invisibility, which it is kind of clunky, and you don't really get a whole lot of use for, or you probably get one or two uses out of it. So there's that. Now for the levels, and the levels, if the mechanics didn't get you, the levels and the level layouts will. For starters, a lot of these levels look pretty freaking ugly. There's Wave Ocean. There's the White Acropolis Zone. I'm probably gonna forget some levels even. There's Crisis City. Which is the level they went with for Sonic Generations, at least the first one. The Sonic and Shadow Generations, which I started, haven't finished yet. It is pulling from a lot of the other Sonic 06 levels. Like it has like Crisis City, but also pulled from Kingdom Valley. You have the Flame Core, which is kind of like the interior of the volcano and kind of similar to Crisis City. You have like the jungle style level. You have the aquatic lab, which is where which I think the aquatic lab is probably the level I hated the least, maybe. I don't really know. Then you have kind of in the desert, which definitely kind of sucked. I think my least favorite level is Kingdom Valley, and then there's one more level. Well, one more that I can't think of. So, necessary. Yeah. Excuse me while I do some mental math here. So, there's necessary. There's necessary. Jungle. Because I know you do revisit a lot of them in like the final level, aka End of the World. Else isn't that? Uh, so I think it's just a seven, and I could be mistaken. Oh, Radical Train, that was the last one. On the Radical Train level is just kind of okay, but it's nowhere near as bad as Kingdom Valley. But yeah, the levels are pretty frustrating, and the levels are so freaking long. On like just refuse to end. I can literally only count on one hand the amount of levels that I beat in under 10 minutes. It's like each level was like 10 minutes or longer, or like somewhere 11 minutes, somewhere 15 minutes. I think the desert level in Silver's in Silver's story. I think I spent like 20 minutes on because that was really frustrating. But the levels absolutely just refuse to end. You think you're done? Nope. Here's a whole nother section. It's just as it compounds like on top of each other to make the ultimate in bad experiences for playing this game. Like, hey, trust me, you will suffer when you play this game. So there's the levels. Even the music's not that great. The music is kind of okay. Like there's some ones that have some pretty decent tracks. Like Kingdom Valley's track is, for all the gruff I give that level, it's pretty decent. And Crisis City was pretty good as well. Although honestly, I do prefer the Sonic Generations remix for Crisis City. Other than that, and Wave Ocean was okay, I guess. But there's no really like fantastic music. Just music that was pretty subpar. The bosses, the bosses are kind of, the bosses were kind of mid. Nothing that's like pull your hair out, frustrating, but uh, pretty pretty meh, forgettable, and pretty glitchy in their own right, including that infamous silver botch. It is a botch, but the silver boss in both Sonic and Shadow stories, where or, uh, if he just throws you to one side, if he picks you up, because he can pick you up with psychokinesis on the boss fight, and throws you to one side, you're fine. You can grab your rings, go. Oh, and figure him out. I'll figure out what to do next. When he throws you up in the air, though, you're pretty much dead because he'll throw you up in the air. You'll be up there. You'll come down, then he'll catch you again, and you have no rings, and boom, you die. And the boss tends to do that a lot, and it sucks every single time. It was really frustrating. Versus when and you first the Sonic boss fight in Silver Story, I think I beat that in like 20 to 30 seconds. As I just threw stuff at Sonic the whole time. It was a little cathartic to be on the other end of that. But yeah, so the boss is also not that great. Even the final boss, Solaris, is some people did call it epic, and it was, I guess, but it was also kind of dumb, kind of weird because you have all three of the main characters, that being Sonic, Silver, and Shadow, in their super forms, but you have to weaken them in a certain order. The boss, that being, of course, Solaris, you have to weaken their armor and then continue to attack them when you get into phase two. So phase one, and what you're supposed to do is as Silver, you start off just throwing all the rocks and stuff at it until you like chip its armor. Then as Shadow, you throw a bunch of I forget what they're called. For argument's sake, we'll call them chaos spears, because why not? So you throw those at Solar, his two weakens armor. Then Sonic, you go straight up and attack its guts well, uh, until you pretty much beat the boss. And then the second part, you do it in whatever order. For the second phase, you kind of do it in whatever wish, but it's really weird why they did that, especially because you start off as Sonic. They kind of do what they did for Sonic Adventure 2, where the rings are also kind of an indicator of how much time you have, and when you run out of rings, you game over or so. And I will say, because it's pretty easy, there was one level I didn't game over on, um, but the trick is you switch to using each character and get more rings. You get a fresh pack of rings so that you keep the fight going, which is cool in theory, and I get why they did that. But at the same time, why not just have us play as the characters one by one? Like, why not start off, you play as Silver, you have some rings scattered around, you grab the rings, but otherwise you weaken them, then you move to Shadow, and same thing, then you move to Sonic, and the same thing. Why didn't they do it that way? That would have made it a whole lot easier. Instead, it's a lot more confusing, this time around. And if anything, I think Sonic Generations, how they did it, where or classic Sonic and modern Sonic were both super, but you had rings and you could attack them as either until eventually you did the combined move to beat the boss, that being the Time Eater. I think that's probably how they should have did it in this game. Now, granted, Sonic Generations was many years later, and to my knowledge, wasn't rushed. Um, but it was really weird how they did that for this game. If they did it in that previous way that I just mentioned, I think it would have been a lot better. But because they didn't, it was very weird. Weird. But I guess just adds to the pile of stuff I didn't like. And you know what? I really didn't like the story either, or I didn't really care for the story either. Now, admittedly, some of that was because I was so frustrated with the game and how much I wasn't enjoying it that it kind of clouded my judgment to the story, and by that, and I honestly could have cared less. I honestly couldn't have cared less about the story at that point, but that's just a personal part from me. But I'd also even like seeing the story and even seeing how it unfolds. It's kind of weird and kind of confusing. Like you have some elements there. Admittedly, I did make the joke, kind of comparing Silver to like Cable or Bishop from the X Men, and how they get that regard. And I'm not against wanting to take a darker tone when it comes to Sonic. Like, but I'm not totally against it. Hell, they kind of did that in Sonic Adventure 2 with like Gerald Robotnik and Maria and everything, and like Shadow's backstory. But what a cluster of a way to put it together, and it really, I think the way it's so jumbled and clustered really did not help the story the game already is making you forget about the story in a way. Hey, why make it forget even more by having it not be a great story? And of course, there's the aforementioned bestiality, plus the fact that Elite Heast and Sonic are so connected, not really romantically from the way they were saying. They kind of have some moments where Sonic's trying to teach her like to be free and everything, and him just running and stuff like that. At versus Elise, who has all these responsibilities, but you don't really feel the romantic tension. So the kiss is even more unearned, and beside the fact that it's a human and a freaking hedgehog, but it feels even more unearned because at this point they've known each other for what, the better part of, like a few days. Even Romeo and Juliet, they knew each other for at least like a week or so. Oh, I think, but yeah, so the way everything just came about, is like the perfect like recipe for disaster, flames of disaster, if you will, for this game. Now, with all that out of the way, with all the glitches and all the not fun gameplay and the subpar story and the not great music, like, you ask yourself, Nigel, is there anything redeeming about this game? Admittedly, sure. Or I will admit, because even though I hate this game, even though I've ripped into this game for this entire review, I'm a fair man. I think there are some semblances. There are some slivers, some kind of cracks. If you look deep in the cracks enough of this game, you do see under all that junk. You do see sort of what's maybe a decent game. There's some things they have to tweak, but having Silver and having him do like kind of telekinesis, that's kind of cool. Having so many of Sonic's characters in the game, that's also pretty nice on paper. Even if I'm not the biggest fan of the design, honestly, it's just Eggman's design. Everyone else's design is not too bad. It's pretty much carried over from like the other games, so it's not too bad. It's kind of more on the realistic end. Obviously, by the next games, that would go to a bit more of the cartoony side, but they would also be a bit more on the modern side. So they kind of tried to have their cake and eat it too, in a way. Um, but yeah, so you can see there are some semblances of a pretty decent game. That, and when I was over, it was cathartic at least to finally beat the game. So, but how did this game go so bad? Well, have you not been paying attention to my commentary this whole time? It's because it was rushed. Yes, that's right. So this game originally was going started production in 2005. I've I've and was going to be released in a years, if I'm not mistaken. And and but but they were rushed into and this game was supposed to be for, I believe, the want to make sure I get it right. Right, hey, originally design audio production problems. I'm sorry. So, this was originally supposed to be for the Wii. He, uh, he and I believe also for PC, but they had them rush the game. First of all, they had them make the game for the next gen consoles at the time, that being PS3 and Xbox 360. But also, oh uh they wanted it in time for the 2006 holiday a season, because that's obviously a big time for games and games. But also, what also complicates things further is as I mentioned, Sonic and the Secret Rings. Essentially, Sega's team was divided in half, with half the team working on Sonic and the Secret Rings, half the team working on Sonic 06. So they were not only working with half a ship, but they were trying to hurry that ship into the harbor. And it made it to the harbor, but it made it into the harbor in a very bad state. And that's essentially one of the reasons, among several others, why this game came out the way it did. And it's unfortunate. It's because, like I mentioned, there are some semblances of what could have been a good game here. And the reason I know that is because of Project 06. So Project 06 is something that's been worked on for quite a few years now. I'm not sure if it's finished yet. It's but pretty much or Sonic P06, X, also known as Project 06. So it doesn't look like it's fully finished yet. It's still in like its beta, and they're still working on it. But pretty much in a way, kind of fixing a lot of the glitches and bugs and stuff that was present in Sonic 06. And I believe they're also yeah, they're restoring a lot of the content that was scrapped for the game, based off fan feedback and everything. They're making changes to the game as well, so it's kind of a continuous game. A part of me does want to play a as is, to see how it is right now, even though it's technically not finished yet. But then again, neither is the original game, so I'm sure Project 06 would blow the original out of the water. But it is cool that people are trying to indeed fix this game and uh restore it to what could have been for this game. And I do know a lot of people do have a soft spot for this game, and because of how glitchy and broken it is. It's a game that can be considered so bad it's good, because there's plenty of games like that. Hey, games like this, or like Big Rigs Over the Road Racing, games that are so bad, so glitchy, so broken that they become fun. And the goal is to get your friends together and point and laugh at how bad the game is. And you absolutely can do that. But for me, I was trying to beat it and kind of take it a little bit more seriously for the purpose of review, at least. But also, B, I don't have a whole lot of friends, unfortunately. At least ones that would come over and play this. But also, what kind of friend would I be to invite my friends over and subject them to this game? So I didn't do that, unfortunately. But I do know a lot of people that feel that for this game. A lot of people also feel like this is kind of the Sonic Adventure 3, which I can see, and you can tell maybe they were going for that, but we kind of already have a Sonic Adventure 3. Because we have Sonic Heroes. Sonic Heroes, in a way, is like Sonic Adventure 3, because it's got a lot of the characters that were introduced in the Sonic Adventure games, as well as a new one, and it kind of changes up the format of how you play. You play in teams and everything, and and it kind of feels like it follows a lot of that same or similar plot line. Hell, they even explain, hey, how the hell Shadow came back, kind of, sort of, in in Sonic Heroes. So, in a way, Sonic Heroes that's your Sonic Adventure 3. In a way, this would have been Sonic Adventure 4, but yeah, hey, you already have your Sonic Adventure 3. You have Sonic Heroes. But yeah, so, that is it for this game. And finally glad I was able to finish it. Sonic and the Secret Rings, you are off the hook until next year because as I have had more than enough of this game. But a game that also I think in a way was kind of the turning point. This might be a hot take, and this is just my opinion. If you disagree, that's totally fine. I do feel like this game was the turning point for Sonic, because and not in a good way, because we had bad Sonic games before. Like we had our Sonic R's or our Sonic 3D Blast, even though that's kind of a lot of people are starting to appreciate that more nowadays. And even a lot of people didn't like Sonic Heroes. I was right. So we've had not great Sonic games in the past. We've had some pretty bad ones, pretty mediocre ones in the past. But up to that point, nothing that it came out was as bad as this game. And I feel like it permanently changed Sonic's reputation to the point where or now how it's a very big blemish, and Sonic never really able to at least in terms of actual like gameplay and enjoyment able to reach the heights of this game. And they've tried and they kind of succeeded in some ways. A lot of people felt Sonic Unleashed was pretty fun on us. On some people have kind of split opinions about Sonic Unleashed. There were Sonic free riders, but Sonic Generations was achieved pretty well. Lost World and games like Lost World and Forces didn't really do well, but in the public eye, Sonic was never really the same after this game. Now, in recent years, Sonic has kind of had a bit of a resurgence or kind of a renaissance in a way with games like Sonic Forces is and like Sonic and Shadow Generations, and even Sonic Mania back in 2017. But yeah, this did so much damage that's seemingly almost irreparable for Sonic and his character and the trust that they had. Not to mention, Sonic and the Secret Rings will come out, and that game also kind of sucked, as well as Sonic and the Black Knight. So that really the only two games ever made in the Sonic Storybook series. So this game was kind of the genesis of what would be no pun intended for Genesis there. This was kind of the beginning of kind of the tank for Sonic's reputation in at least a major way. Like we kind of had hiccups over the years or like I said with like Sonic R and stuff like that. But especially this game, I think this game was the real turning point when it comes to that. And it's really sad. Like, had they finished this game, and would it have been greatest of all time? Probably not. But I definitely think it would have been way better than what it actually ended up being. And here's hoping Project 06 will bring Sonic 06 to the limelight to show what could have been. Here's hoping Project 06 is able to do that for Sonic 06. And I'm glad I finally got that monkey, or I guess hedgehog, off my back. And you know what I did? The day after, which this was the plan anyway, and it wasn't because I beat this game, it was because as my job had a discount, we went to Darien Lake. So I was kind of able to have my celebration for beating this game. But yeah, that is going to do it for this review. This long awaited review. Like I said, even if I somehow don't do any more off a month content for the rest of the month, which is not the plan, and I'm planning on finally playing catch up for all we've missed. Even if I don't release anything else for awful month this month, I feel I feel accomplished having done this review. But thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please do me a favor: like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends, turn on post notifications so you know every time I upload a video, so you never miss an upload. And let me know in the comments below what are your thoughts on Sonic 06, and what are your thoughts on my review of Sonic 06. Do you like Sonic 06? Do you like my review of Sonic 06? Let me know. Do you think it could have been a really good game had it been finished? Had they had the time? Had they released it for the Wii like they wanted to? Ooh, and you can even see kind of semblances of that, like the Mach Speed section. You could tell was kind of meant for like holding the Wii remote sideways and everything, because, and you even see it when you play Sonic 06, not Sonic 06, Sonic and the Secret Rings, but that's for next year, of course, or for Awful Month. But Awful Month is going to keep chugging along, and part of the reason it wasn't the full reason why I decided to do Awful Month in the first place, but it's part of the reason, and now part of the reason why Awful Month exists on my channel in the first place is officially in the books. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for watching. I will see you guys later. Peace.